Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
I would like to call to order the meeting of the Neenah City Council for Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. Due to the public health emergency, this is caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The meeting is being held virtually at different locations, accessible by the link or a conference call that committee members and the public have been made aware of, and it's been properly posted. All the proper requirements have been met. First time of business is the roll call. Stephanie, if you'd like to call the roll call, please.
All right, Alderperson Boyette. Alderperson Boyette, you might have been muted, I didn't hear you. And Bates?
Here.
Lang?
Here, is my camera working?
Not yet. Lundrum?
Here.
Borchert?
Present.
Spellman?
Here.
Steele? Alderperson Steele, I can see you, but I haven't heard you yet.
Sorry, I thought I'd unmuted myself. I am here.
There you go.
And Alderperson Erickson.
Here.
And Stevenson.
Here.
All are present.
Alderman Boyette, can you test your microphone? We have nothing, Kathy, so you may want to log out and log back in or call in on the conference number. Sorry, but right now we're not hearing anything. So maybe log out and log back in, see what that does, okay? All righty, so there are 9 members present. There's a quorum present. Tonight we're going to start off with a presentation regarding the citywide, a citywide fiber project. Gentleman's name is Josh Worrell, Business Development Manager at TDS Telecommunications LLC. Joel, would you like to preface it with any comments? Joe Winninger, Director Winninger.
I just say that Josh had presented this back, I don't know, about 2 months ago or so to staff here that this was happening. As a city, we're interested in possibly partnering in some places where it makes sense and doing some cost savings with TDS, and we will be exploring that in the next couple of weeks, maybe 3-4 weeks. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Welcome, Josh. Take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, alderpersons, for having me. Can everybody hear me okay?
I think so.
Great.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a ton of information here to cover tonight. I talk pretty fast. I'll periodically ask if there's any questions, but if there's something not clear tonight or you'd like to dive in deeper, I'm open to meet with anybody, city staff, to clarify anything about this project, but we're gonna take a pretty high level look at what we plan to do in the city of Neenah and the Fox Valley tonight. So introduction, my name is Josh Worrell. I'm Manager of Business Development for TDS Telecom. My role involves a lot in the research and analytics for communities around the country to qualify for our fiber program. Those are then presented to our senior leadership group, and once our senior leadership approves them, I travel to those communities and introduce TDS to the municipal leaders. And then I work as a resource throughout the build process for the municipal leaders. It's a fairly big company, so if they need to get to a certain department or they're not sure who they need to talk to, or they just need to escalate an issue and they want to be heard, you can go through me. I'm here for you. City staff has my cell phone, email, and I'm online almost all the time. So I'll be a resource for the city throughout this process. So we'll cover a little history of TDS if you're not familiar with who we are, our construction methods, our community outreach program, our sales and marketing approach, and then at the very end, we'll leave time for any questions that you may have. So TDS is a Fortune 1000 company. We've been in business for over 50 years. We're a telecom company. We started as a rural phone company where our founder went around the country buying up small ILEC properties. ILEC is Incumbent Local Exchange Carrier. That's just the legal designation for the phone company. So every community generally has two telecom providers. They have a cable provider, or better known in your community as probably Charter Spectrum, and then there's a telephone company, either CenturyLink or AT&T. And those are generally two providers. We're the phone company in about 34 states and small footprints throughout the country. We're the 7th largest ILEC provider. So it means we're fairly large, but compared to number 1 at AT&T, we're a fairly small telecom company. You'll see a few of our accolades up there as well. We roll up underneath TDS Corporate, which is in Chicago, and they also own US Cellular, OneNeck, and Subtle Stress. This is a map of our footprint. The blue is our ILEC properties, so we have a fairly widespread footprint. The red is actually our cable properties, so we're a fairly unique company in that we're a portfolio company and we do both wireline and cable. That's fairly unique in the telecom industry. Usually you do one or the other. Our theory was, let's be the best broadband provider in any given community, regardless of technology, and we needed a way to grow. So in 2013, we began buying cable companies. This was a great way to grow organically. Unfortunately, we ran out of cable companies to buy. A lot of the big acquisitions you see going on today, like the Time Warner Charter acquisition, multiple billion-dollar acquisitions, just a pool we can't play in. So of the companies that were in the price range that we could afford, a lot of their networks were run down and needed severe reinvestment, and they just weren't worth the time. And so we turned our focus to a fiber strategy. And we took 2 fiber strategies. We went back into all of our footprint that you just saw on that map where it was economically feasible, and we overbuilt our existing copper facilities with fiber. This was a fairly aggressive approach because we were taking our existing asset, the copper DSL product, and we were basically throwing it in the trash can and upgrading to fiber. You see a lot of companies today that aren't doing that, and they seem to be struggling. In every area that we did this, there was tremendous results, and it just kind of proved to us that there's this growing need for broadband and competition and choice. So the other fiber deployment strategy we took in all greenfield areas, and greenfield is just any new areas of an existing community, so new residential, new commercial, we pushed fiber into those areas rather than copper. There's a few other things on this slide I'll point out. The net promoter score of 40 in all of our fiber areas. To give you some perspective, the cable company averages between 5 or 8 on their net promoter score, and we're around 40. So we're fairly, in our fiber areas, we have a fantastic product, and it's people love it, and we get really good feedback on it. So we took this idea and we said, okay, if we can build fiber and get a tremendous response, what if we went to an area that we have no brand recognition, we don't offer service in, and we went in and we overbuilt the community to offer a competitive choice for TV, phone, and internet out of the home. And we piloted this program in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Sun Prairie is a suburb of Madison. It's about 30,000 people or 10,000 households. They were actually building their own municipal fiber network because there was a need for broadband in their community. They had one provider, and the telephone company was severely underinvesting. But because of capital restraints and city budgets, it was going to take them 12 to 15 years to build out the whole city. So we bought their existing assets, they sold them to us, and we built it out in about 15 months. In the first 9 months after construction started, we upgraded 3,700 customers. By the end, we had 5,500 customers on our network. So by every metric, it was a tremendous success. I will tell you that just to show you how powerful competition and choice is, when we entered the market, the fastest speed that Spectrum was providing was 60 meg. 5 months after we had been in the market, they upgraded all their customers to free to 100 meg. And then another 4 months later, they upgraded everybody free to 200 meg. And after that, they began competing on price. So competition is powerful, choice is powerful, and we see a need in a lot of communities around the country for this. So we continue to scale this program. Our corporate parent gave us some capital to continue, so we added 5 or 6 more communities around Madison. We saw similar results here, and because of that success, our corporate parent committed to us about $1 billion over a 5-year period to find communities around the country that fit the model for an overbuild such as this. Since then, we've expanded to central Wisconsin, and we're doing Wausau, the surrounding communities, and Stevens Point, which is about 40,000 households. We've also branched out to Idaho. We're building Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is about 50,000 households. We're in Boise, Idaho, and we're in Spokane, Washington. So we're in the process of building upwards of 300,000 to 400,000 addresses with fiber to the home. And next, well, before I get ahead of myself, here's just a slide of the benefits of fiber. If you don't already know, fiber is simply just glass. It's the technology we will be implementing in your community is called GPON. It is Gigabyte Passive Optical Network, and just like its name suggests, it is a passive technology, meaning the data going down the glass there is no electrical current. So it's just light transmitting data. As a result, it's extremely reliable, extremely safe, and it's the most popular technology to deploy residential and residential and commercial gigabit service in the country. A few things I'll point out here. Future-proof is a big buzzword. It basically just means, you hear a lot of communities talk about, we want to future-proof ourselves because of the broadband needs. Basically what that means is the fiber is, its capacity is pretty much unlimited. Today, people generally at home are getting somewhere between 100 and 300 meg. 10 years from now, if they need 3 gig, we will be able to provide that. We will switch out the electronics on the back end and front end of the fiber, and the fiber can handle the capacity. It's not limited. So it's a very big benefit for our community, not only for attracting commercial businesses, but residentially, the homework gap, telecommuting. It has a huge benefit, especially given our current pandemic environment. So why Neenah? We take a look at communities across the country. If you break the country down, you have cities that are far too metro or big cities to build. LA, New York, this would take extreme capital investment, and these are our competitors' biggest markets. They get the biggest reinvestment from those areas, so we probably wouldn't consider going to communities like that. And then you have areas of the country that are far too rural to serve, and what I mean by that is there's no density there. Apart from government funding, it's just not economically feasible to build fiber all the way out to some rural areas in the country. And then you kind of have that sweet spot right in the middle where you'll find there are 40 to 100,000 households, and they're being underserved by their incumbent providers. And we define underserved as one company generally has a monopoly and the other company is underinvesting, and there's room for another company to come in and provide that competition and choice. So I'm going to stop for a minute before I get into the construction aspect of it. I know I blew through there. Does anybody have any questions, or can I clarify anything for anyone before we get into the construction piece?
So if you come into our community, there is a franchise fee that we get from the state. You guys still pay that?
Yes, Mayor. So Wisconsin is a statewide franchise, and what that means is back in, I believe it was 2011, Wisconsin opted into a statewide franchise. So as a telecom provider, we have to file our CLEC status and then add Neenah to our statewide filing. At that time, we will then remit 5% of video revenue to the city, obviously once it's up and running. So As we continue to grow our subscriber base, 5% of our video revenue will be remitted to the city on a recurring basis.
Does that, has the state capped that? Is that for the communities? So as you get more customers, does the other company pay less? So it doesn't really matter for the city?
Yep, good question. So if we take a Spectrum or CenturyLink, I believe it's CenturyLink in your area, excuse me if I got that wrong. If we take one of their video customers, it's a net zero for the city because they're already paying franchise fees on that customer and they're just moving over to us. However, if we move over a satellite customer, that's a net gain for the city because satellite customers, because they do not have infrastructure in the right of way, they don't fall under the Cable Act, they don't have to pay franchise fees. So we find generally on average, we steal somewhere between 15 to 19% of the satellite subscriber base in a given community, and we generally provide an increase in franchise fees. That's generally offset by the fact that you see a lot of cord cutting going on. But I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Boyette, you have a question?
Can you hear me?
Yep, now we can.
Okay, great. So I have a question. So if you were to come into the city, and I live on Nicolay Boulevard, we have UVerse, and your system is not UVerse. Would you need to do the construction with this boring equipment and bucket trucks and everything to ensure that we had the cables here, or could you use what's already in the ground and feed off of that in some manner?
I think he's going to get into construction. He's going to get into the construction next, but so go ahead and answer the question. So thanks.
We will not be able to use any existing infrastructure. So we will be building our own fiber network that will go down every street pretty much in the city. I believe it's 131 miles of fiber to cover Neenah. And we will be placing access points or pedestals. You've probably seen them today, either in your backyard or your front yard by your current provider. We will place something similar next to them. And that will be our access point. When someone orders service, we will do a fiber drop from that access point to your house for service. But none of the existing infrastructure that's in your community today can be used. We will be building all of our own.
Because, and the reason I ask, and this is totally different than what you're talking about, we're having We Energies do some work, and my yard is all tore up. I don't have a sidewalk. These guys are in my driveway with this boring equipment, and I'm not looking forward to having this all redone. Just no offense, but I'm living it now, and I'm just curious, you know, if we did go with this, you know, it would be in the future, but again, obviously you would be burying this stuff. It wouldn't be above line with wires attached to the poles, correct?
Yep, that is correct. This build will be 100% buried, and you are absolutely correct. And to be as transparent as I can with you, this is construction is extremely stressful on a community. There's a lot of digging, and to your exact experience will happen to many residents in the community. Our biggest and the biggest thing we're always trying to mitigate is restoration. We're constantly restoring grass, going back, and I can tell you up front, TDS is not perfect. Our contractor will not be perfect. Mistakes will be made. It has repeatedly happened. Their digging in the ground is not an exact science. So things will get hit. We will raise our hand. We will fix it, because you have to understand, we're looking to be a long-term service provider in this region. Once construction's done, our contractor leaves, but we're here forever. And we want to continue to build our brand, and it doesn't help us to leave the city or the residents high and dry throughout the construction process. So to your point, yes, absolutely. It will be stressful. There will be mistakes made. People's yards will get torn up. There is a lot of education to go around what an easement is, and utility easement, and why we have access to it. And it appears to be on people's yards. So yeah, there is a lot that goes into this process.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm not complaining about anything that's gone bad or whatever. It's just the process in itself, and it's a nightmare. Like, I don't know if I get up in the morning if I can utilize my driveway and get my vehicle in or out, and I can't have people come to my house even if it wasn't COVID because there's no place for them. And I get it. That's how you build the future, and so I'm not complaining by no means. I just saw that boring machine. I thought, my God, it's in my front yard. Again,
Yep.
so I was just curious, but thank you for answering that.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Josh, I think you can go ahead. I didn't see any other hands. Go ahead with regards to construction.
Okay, that was actually a perfect segue. Thank you, Alderman. This is purely a slide to talk about the impacts of construction. As we've already stated, it's extremely stressful. We're going to provide as many resources for the city as possible, and that's what the next few slides are about. It's going to be talking about our tactics for notification. One of our biggest learnings from the past communities that we've done from the city and from the residents in our surveys is we didn't hear from you enough. We didn't know what you were doing. Why were you in my yard? Who is TDS? What are they doing here? And so we've really tried to build a robust notification system, and this is kind of what we've come up with. So 30 days out from start of construction in your neighborhood, you will get a letter, and I have pictures of all of these that we'll run through quickly. Then 12 days out, you get a postcard. 5 days out, a door hanger. 3 days out, you get a small, like ADT-like yard sign in your front yard. And during construction, there will be a sandwich board outside of your street or outside of your community. When you drive by, there's information on there. On all of these, there's information on who to call at TDS if you have questions or concerns about your particular yard. Unfortunately, we can answer a lot of general questions, but if you have specific yard questions, we just have to summon someone out there and look at it and come talk to you. There's no way getting around it. But the main thing is just making sure we're making an effort to contact. So this letter goes out, talks about who we are, has some offers on there, and has some frequently asked questions about what we're doing and what we can expect, and a number to call that goes to the triage team in our call center. This is
Josh, just as a follow up on that, I heard you say there's an offer involved. What does that mean?
Yes, so we will be, and this will come a little later, but obviously
Okay,
as construction is going.
If you're going to answer it later, that's fine. But you can answer it whenever you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to it here in a little bit, just after the construction notifications. This is purposely branded ugly yellow, non-TDS white and blue, because we want people to not throw it away. This goes in your mail. We can provide the city with a mailing list if they want to ensure that people were notified. This was the easiest way for us to do it. We're hoping people will see this card and call the number if they have questions. Same thing with the door hanger. It's the exact same thing as the postcard. This will go on 3 days before construction. Generally speaking, our contractor tries to knock on doors as they're hanging this. People are home. They'll introduce themselves, ask if they have any questions. This is just an example of a yard sign that will go in as construction's going by. You have concerns, again, number, TDS. Our contractors should have TDS on their truck and on their vests. It should be fairly apparent who we are in the market. And this is just an example of a sandwich board that will be outside of a given neighborhood. So as people drive by, they'll see it, they'll see the construction progress, and maybe they can take the opportunity to call in if they have questions. You can, of course, go to tdsfiber.com. We have a construction webpage that gives education about public right-of-way, utility easements, what are easements, what are safety standards when digging in the ground, and there's just all kinds of information there to go and browse if you're interested. The customer service triage team, this is new for TDS, so there are so many questions related to construction and sales and marketing. Different people have different questions, and we trained a team that could basically cover all of our out-of-territory questions and put them within our call center. So the numbers that we are providing and the tickets that we are going to be opening is going to be directed to that team, and we're hoping that provides some additional support for people calling in and having questions.
So Josh, as a follow-up to that, if I could, there's nothing more frustrating than being told repetitively, which I've seen here, if you have questions, call this number, and then you call the number and you get put into the answering machine protocol, and frustration occurs most when you can't talk to someone. So what's TDS's goal for people that call that number? What's the percentage of people that will be able to talk to a live person?
So my understanding, and I can verify this for you, is we've had that exact complaint in past builds where the number that we provided on our door hanger and our postcard was actually going to our contractor because we just go directly to the source who's going to fix the issue. The issue is they're not staffed, and to your point, you get a lot of feedback about I'm just leaving messages all the time and nobody's getting back to me. So my understanding now is that all of this traffic should be directed to this triage team, and it's just like a call center. So as you go through the prompts about putting in your zip code, because we identify you by zip code, because obviously the Fox Valley is a large place and we're trying to get to the correct build area, you should be directed to the call center so you can talk to an actual person.
So the phone number is not unique to the Neenah project?
The phone number is unique for the triage team, which covers all of our out of territory program, which is anywhere we're building. Sorry.
How big is the out of territory program?
So in Wisconsin, we are currently building in Wausau, surrounding area, in Stevens Point, which is about 45 or 50,000 households, and then finishing up in Dane County, but it's finished, and then obviously the Fox Valley build.
So all those projects will use the same 800 number?
Correct.
Yeah, that's scary, but we just understand from my perspective, that's very scary. People are going to get frustrated.
Sure, understood.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, of course, the city staff is going to have additional daily contacts within
Yeah,
TD.
but I don't want our city staff answering TDS questions.
Understood.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Alderman Bates, do you have a question?
Yes, the letters or whatever kind of went fast and it's a little small on my screen, but does it immediately say this is free to you, it's paid for by TDS, and it's not paid for by the city? That's my first thing. When someone would be doing stuff in my yard, I think it's going to be something that it should be like, this is free to you.
So construction doesn't cost people anything. Well, I mean, we're going to be building this network, free of charge. Obviously, if a customer orders service, it's like any other service provider with a monthly fee.
Right, but I meant that's one of the things you should have in your letter. First off is, I'm going to come in your yard, but it's free to you to build it. That would be my consideration.
I'll take that feed.
Thank you.
Danae, Josh, maybe you want to
back to our marketing team. Thank you all.
Okay, there you go. Go ahead, Danae.
Yeah, a couple of questions. What would be and maybe I just missed this, but what would be the anticipated length of time to get this build done, and how, I realize obviously there's little streets, there's big streets, etc., but how long would you anticipate that any particular homeowner would have construction going on in front of their house?
So the duration of the build as a whole will probably take about 2 years to finish all of the community to enable 12,900 addresses. Specific households, they're only going to be in front of your house for a day or so. In some cases, you won't even know they're there, because if they set up a bore rig at the end of the street and shoot by you, you might never see them. Okay. But restoration will happen after construction, generally 5 to 2 weeks after the construction crew comes through. It's a separate crew, but the duration of the build will be about a 2-year build.
I'm going to have Josh finish his presentation because Some questions that people have may be coming up. I don't know how much more you got, Josh, but if you can take about 10 minutes, because that's about 45 minutes, and then we'll move on with some questions and that. And then, I'm sure this is probably going to take another meeting or two. And this meeting was just kind of introduce your concept and that company's concept to the council. So go ahead.
Yep, absolutely. We'll keep moving. Getting to the sales and marketing, this is just some of the marketing you can expect to see in the market. The approach we take is to outlocal our competition. So our marketing and sales group is going to be looking for areas of Neenah that matter to you. So charities, local communities, the local chamber of commerce, anything like that, coffee shops that we can co-brand with as we continue to build out our brand and work towards becoming a trusted local service provider. These are just a slide to give you a little flavor of our residential products. So internet speeds start at 300 meg. It is symmetrical, so that's 300 meg up, 300 meg down. We offer 600 meg and a gig. We also offer TDS TV. We are investing in video heavily. You'll hear a lot about cord cutting. If you go check our public results, I believe 9 quarters in a row, we have added video subscribers. So that's a little bit of a reverse trend. I know you hear a big deal about millions of people cutting the cord. We are adding video subscribers, so we continue to invest in our video product. And then, of course, we offer phone as well. On the commercial side, we offer up to 10 gig dedicated service, all the way down to managed IP or phone products. So the whole suite of commercial offers as well. Okay, so getting back to some construction questions, and this plays into our marketing and construction approach that ties it together. This is Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I do not have designed engineered plans yet for Neenah, but when we design and detailed engineer a community, this is what it breaks down into, little polygons that we call DFNs. Each of these little polygons contains roughly 200 to 300 service addresses or households, and we will move systematically neighborhood by neighborhood. If you go to tdsfiber.com and you punch in your address, once we have your addresses loaded, that is, it's going to pull up what polygon you reside in. It will have data there, such as how many people have registered in your neighborhood and other information about certain products and services and promotions that we run to incentivize people to sign up for service. Our marketing team and sales team will work ahead of our construction. So if they're working, let's just say in this polygon, this is where we're going to build first. Sales and marketing will go there first, continue to sell and market while construction goes on. We turn up that particular neighborhood, and then the sales and marketing moves to the next polygon right in front of construction, and it's staggered. So construction will be going polygon by polygon. It's not necessarily one at a time. We could be in 2 or 3 DFNs at a time doing constructions down those streets, but it should be organized and fairly systematic, and we are going to be turning up parts of the community as we go. So when I said it was a 2-year total build, 4 months after we start construction, these polygons down here could have service, and as we work our way through the community, these polygons up here may be later in the build. So service will be available as quickly as we can make it, but it will take probably a full 2 years to get up to the entire community of Neenah serviced. This is a slide from our architectural design of the Fox Valley. This is what we plan to build. The only thing here we're not going to build during our phase 1 is Harrison, Combined Locks, and this area of Fox Crossing. But everything else you see, we've been working with these municipalities closely. We will be building them out with fiber similar to Neenah, the Neenah build. And we're having to work with each of them individually. They're all different contractors. Neenah and Menasha will be covered by Quanta Telecom. We've worked with them in the past. They're building Wausau right now. They are also building Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and they're building for us in Meridian, Idaho. So we've worked with them. We've been overall happy with their performance. Like any contractor, they're not perfect, and to Alderman's point earlier, there will be construction issues that we have to raise our hand and fix. It's just part of the process. Digging in the ground is not an exact science. This is a zoomed in view of Neenah. This is the area we plan to cover in our phase 1 of the build. As the community continues to grow, of course, TDS will grow and expand its network with it. I believe this covers right at 13,000 service addresses, commercial and residential. That is all I have. I know that is a ton of information, and to the mayor's point, you probably have a million questions. I am more than available to bring back other network experts to continue to dive into this deeper. We're here for you to continue to, as a resource. We're willing to take your feedback, and I'll take your feedback back to our marketing group to continue to add commonly asked questions so that we can provide your community as much information as possible. What else can I clarify for the group?
Thank you, Josh. So we're not going to solve all the questions tonight. We're not voting on this. We're not taking any action. This was kind of the initial, get to know what they are proposing. So if you have a question that you need answered tonight, that's fine. I will say this, or I'll put it in a question. We as a community, and maybe Jim, I maybe need Jim Godleski, but it's my understanding that they have the ability to do this, AT&T, TDS, whoever, they have the ability to do this whether the council wants it or not.
That is correct. The right to exclude the utility from the right-of-way has been extremely restricted by the legislature.
So I wanted the council to know that whether or not we, if you agree with this or not, these communication companies have this ability to do this. So I want you to know that up front, because I know there was at least one that didn't know that, thought that we had the say in this, so to speak. TDS is reaching out and would like to make this as painless as possible, I think, for everybody, and get in the marketplace. So I just wanted to point that out before we answered a question or two. Alderman Boyette, go ahead.
So, so I have 1/2 questions here. First question is, what is the benefit of this for our taxpayers? And secondly, what is it going to cost our taxpayers?
So if I understand the question correctly, I guess the direct benefit to the taxpayer or your constituents is going to be competition and choice. They're going to have another option for TV, phone, and internet. If they're not interested in their current provider or would like to try something new, they could have the opportunity to do that. I guess what was the cost?
The cost is going to be what they charge, what types of service that people sign up for, right?
Yep. So whatever they sign up for, if they want the service, great. If they don't, that's their business. Generally speaking, if you take internet only, it's 300 meg at our lowest speed. That's $40 a month. If you take our router with that, it's $46.95. Generally speaking, if you compare that to any competitor that we're entering a market in, it's a faster speed at the same or generally below what their price on, depending on what promo they're on with their current provider. TV varies. It depends how many TVs you're signing up for and what package you choose. There's a wide variety. To give you a flavor, if you take our Freedom package, which is our most slimmed down package for one TV, you bundle it with internet, it's like $86.95 a month.
It's safe to say that the cost to our taxpayers or residents is zero if they don't take your service. Correct? I mean, they may have a box in their yard that they didn't want, but
not in their yard, it's in the right of way.
In the right of way, but in their yard. Everyone considers it their yard, but yes, you're right. Go ahead, Jim.
So let me think about that for a minute. So the taxpayer, the city will see an increase in their locate costs because we'll be calling in locates for all these facilities, the other existing facilities before we can place our facilities, and I believe that is a cost to the city. So I wanted to get that out there. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that is correct.
Yeah.
Is that how you understand it, Jerry?
Yeah, we pay per ticket for Digger's Hotline, so the additional tickets will be additional costs for us for the locates. We also would expect to see additional revenue from the street excavation permits that will result from the project going.
Okay, yeah. All righty. Other questions? And is it safe to say right now the only one with fiber in the city and that is Spectrum? Is that a?
So it's hard to say because companies will say they have fiber in their network and they'll call it fiber, but they're just using it to shorten their loops, and then it's just coax to your house. So it's hard to say exactly how much fiber they actually have in their network or if it's dedicated fiber. I know Charter says they have it in your area. I would be hard pressed to believe that they have it to the home. I think they use it to shorten their loops to provide higher speeds.
Okay. And then in theory, AT&T could make this same request down the road to put fiber also. Is that right?
That's correct. Although it's not going to be as invasive for them, not to make it any easier for them, but because they have existing conduit in the ground, they would pull out their copper and pull through fiber, so it wouldn't be as invasive.
Okay, thanks for answering that.
Mayor,
All right, anyone else?
Yeah, could I just follow up with one more with Jerry on those tickets? How much is a ticket?
I'd have to dig that up for you, Alderman Boyette. I've got something from Diggers, so I can get it for you.
So we'll get that, Jerry. So he's saying that all Diggers hotline would have to be, so if you can get that information versus the tickets for construction and that excavation permits, I think they'd probably be interested in that. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right, Josh, anyone else with burning questions? I think what we'll do is, Joe's intent here was, I think, Joe, and I don't want to speak for you, was to introduce Josh. The TDS came to us, and Joe came to me and wanted some time to at least introduce this so you weren't caught totally flat-footed. And we probably are going to have another meeting where between now and then, come up with your questions and that for more specific questions for Josh. This is going on currently in Stevens Point as we are here, and I have talked to the mayor a little bit up there, so I'll share some of that information later. Marge, did you have a question?
Just a quick one. We use a government channel on Spectrum. Do you have a government channel, and do you have local TV?
We will work with the TV, or we will work with with your staff to provide any PEG channels that the city needs, and that's just we're required to do that by law. So if you have PEG channels, we will put that in our TV lineup. And what was your other question?
Whether you show local TV for news and things.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Director Kaiser.
Yeah, Alderman Boyette, we pay $1.74 per ticket, and then we also have a 50-cent duplication fee because we distribute that to several individuals. So essentially $2.24 per ticket.
Okay. Suffice it to say, we will come back to this topic. Joe, I'll talk to you and I'll talk to the council president, and we'll see what the next move is. It's probably going to be sent to a committee, I would think. That's just my preference rather than have a big meeting. And then if aldermen want to join that committee for it rather than the council meeting, we'll do it that way next time. That's just my preference. I'll talk to Council President Stevenson about that. So, okay. Anyone else? All right, Josh, thank you for joining us tonight. And if someone has a question, Joe has your contact information? Right,
yeah,
Joe?
absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'll just add one more thing. Construction's not planned to start till March or April of next year, Quanta, and between now and then, we'll be working with your staff to smooth out any questions they have, and of course, we can come to any committee meetings and continue to answer questions.
All right, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Item number 2, introduction and confirmation of mayor's appointment. We do have one appointment tonight, Mayor Crawford's appointment of Robert Carmen to the Police Commission for the unexpired term of Steve Morton to expire May 2023. This kind of got, with COVID, it kind of got missed or whatever, but this is Robert Carmen from Westcore Funeral Home. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the mayor's appointment of Robert Carmen to the Police Commission for the unexpired term of Steve Morton, expired 2023.
Second.
There's a second by Alderman Erickson. There's a motion and a second. I just want to say that publicly, Steve Morton served on that committee for many, many years. And Steve was the actual chairman of the committee before he left. He has moved on out of state now, so he doesn't have the time. That's the only reason he left. But Steve did a great job for a long time on the police commission. Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Did I miss his information about this man? I was looking through the packet and I didn't.
think it was distributed a long time ago with the COVID thing. We don't, it got overlooked. Stephanie, do you have
I
it
think
or
this
not?
one, I think it was supposed to be in an agenda back in maybe April or May.
Oh.
So he is on the committee and has been serving, but we never actually did this part.
Okay, thank you.
It got sent out and everything, Marge, and somehow it got missed. So I can tell you, it was right around the election time in April, COVID, and it was just an oversight either on our part. So, okay.
Can we send that out just tomorrow or something? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. There's a motion and a second. Is there any objection to unanimous consent to appoint Bob Carmen to this committee? Police Commission. Hearing none, that's so ordered. Approval of the council proceedings of November 17, 2020 special session. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Erickson to approve the council proceedings of November 17, 2020 special session. Any comments or questions or discussion? Seeing none, is there any objection to unanimous consent? Hearing no objection, that's so ordered. Public hearings. We have one public hearing. Item number A, public hearing is the consider various amendments to the Neenah Comprehensive Plan 2040 and a future land use map. I would open up the public hearing to the public. At this time, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to us regarding the City of Neenah Comprehensive Plan 2040 and the future land use map? Is there anyone from the general public who would like to speak at this time? Anyone who would like to speak on this topic? Last call. Anyone on the Neenah Comprehensive Plan 2040? If not, I'm going to close the public hearing on that, and we will move on to the Plan Commission report pertaining to the public hearing, and that's Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting from the meeting of November 24th. Minutes can be found on the city website. The Commission recommends Council approve ordinance number 2020-22, amending the Comprehensive Plan 2040 and future land use map, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Lang. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Borchert. Any questions? Brad, would you like to add anything? Deputy Director Schmidt.
Yeah, just very quickly, this is actually the first amendment to the comprehensive plan since it was updated back in 2017. And essentially, it's just a quick cleanup of some small items, one being the area in the town of Neenah, which was part of the town or village of Fox Crossings growth area. And since we canceled their boundary agreement, just showing that area as future mixed use. The dog park area on the comprehensive plan was shown as industrial. We changed that to recreation future use. And then an area that the land that we had purchased out in the town of Inland was shown as future rural conservation. We changed it to single family residential. So just a minor cleanup, I'd call it. But with any changes to our zoning, it needs to be consistent with our future land use map per state law. So this is why these items were changed.
That's a good explanation and more attuned to the current uses of those properties, correct?
Correct.
Anyone? There's a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2020-22, amending the comprehensive plan 2040 and future land use map. All in favor will vote aye as the clerk calls your name. Any opposed, vote no.
All right, Alderperson Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Lendrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
and Boyette.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion carries. Thank you very much. Thanks for your work on it, Brad. The public forum is an opportunity for anyone from the public to address the council on any topic that they would like. All we ask is you give your name and street address for the record. Is there anyone here who would like to speak during the public forum? I see we might have a couple different people here on the meeting with us tonight. I know Jake's probably here for a topic, and if you'd like to add anything, Jake, that's fine. Otherwise, when that issue comes up, if there is a question, I'll call on you. City resident Lee Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor Crawford. Lee Hillstrom, 1021 Sterling Avenue in Neenah. Just a couple comments on TDS. I had DSL service and phone service with them for decades. And unlike some other companies where I was transferred to somebody in India and I'd spent 2 or 3 hours trying to understand what they were saying, TDS was always great to work with. Always answered my questions, easy to get a hold of, and did things for me that they didn't really have to do. So I was always very happy with them. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else from the public like to speak to the council in the public forum section?
Yes, Mayor Crawford, I'd like to speak real quick.
Go ahead. Just state your name and address.
Jake Buns, 1818 Parmenter Street in Middleton, I guess. Just pertaining to the revocable occupancy permit, and I don't know if this changes anything on the city's end, but the LLC listed was Main Street LLC, and it should be Solaris on Main LLC, and I just wanted to make sure that's the right entity on the agenda.
Okay, we will make that correction. Stephanie, do you have that correction then? You're on mute, so.
Yep, I'll get it.
Give us the correction. It's to be Solaris on Main, correct?
Solaris on Main LLC, yeah, I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure it was all taken care of.
Well, thank you very much for bringing that to our attention.
Yep.
Lee Hillstrom, did you state your address for the record, just so Stephanie has it?
Yes, I did.
Did he? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Thank you. I couldn't remember. Good. Anyone else like to address council? Hearing no one else, is there any, we'll go to I'll close the public forum and move on to the item number 7, Mayor Council consideration. Is there anyone who'd like to say anything? If not, there is no consent agenda tonight. Item number 9 is a report of standing committees. A regular Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of November 24th, 2020. Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting from the November 24th meeting, and the minutes can be found on the city website. Committee recommends council approve ordinance number 2020-20, amending municipal code section 21-34 to require an attached or detached garage for all residential properties.
So moved.
There's a motion by Alderman Lundrum, is there a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Stevenson seconds it. Go ahead. Anyone comments? Alderman Lundrum, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. This is actually really good news if this passes, and it's good news for the, especially for a new homeowner that was able to get a Habitat house. This is Wisconsin. We need garages. And what happens is many times the new Habitat owner realizes too late that they really do want a garage to store their bicycles, their snow blowers, not to mention their cars. And what happens is then they have to pay retail. They have to pay a contractor on their own. If we require new builds such as Habitat as one of them to include a garage, then that is included with their no interest loan. So in the long run, they are paying far less for a garage and really adding a lot of value to their home, a lot of equity to their home. So it's really it's just a win-win situation for them too. In my pet peeve, I've said it 100 times before with Habitat's architecture, with no garage and a dirt or gravel driveway, I should say, is that it labels the purchaser, it labels that family forever as a Habitat family. But when you add on things such as a garage and hard surface driveway, it blends into the neighborhood, and then you can no longer tell that it's a Habitat house. And that's really important to me. No kid wants to go home to a clearly obvious Habitat house. Menasha required garages several years ago and hard surface driveways too, and it did not affect how many houses Habitat continued to build. They still continued to build at the same rate, so that didn't affect them. And we were all reassured at the last meeting from community development that with certain variances and exceptions that there'll be no problem going forward in the future with this ordinance. So I'll definitely be voting for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Lundrum. Anyone else? Just so people, if they're listening at home, Habitat has changed their policy. They now put in garages, but this Alderman Lundrum has worked tirelessly on this issue, and I give her a lot of credit for that. I brought up a question during this that if there is a process, I at least wanted to be sure that there was a process, a waiver process or something that, if someone, a veteran or something who had no intention of ever having a vehicle, car, or whatever, wanted to build a special house without this, that there is a process so that at least someone could try and get a variance and a waiver. So, and that I'm sure that that process is available for them. So, Alderman Boyette, go ahead.
Thank you. I have a couple of concerns with this, and I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know what all was said. Obviously, one you just answered was about that it is true that Habitat is going to continue to cover these garages into their future because I know they don't at the current time. But my concern is an individual that wants to come into Neenah and purchase a home or build a home that maybe they only have enough money for the home, and building a garage is an extra, I don't know, well right now it's probably closer to 20 or 30 depending on what they're building because the prices are just crazy on lumber right now. But I'm just curious, I mean that's going to be quite a burden for people that are just trying to buy a regular home or build a regular home and then not have the extra 20 or 30 grand to put in a garage right away. Like I bought my home, it didn't have a garage. I had to save up a couple of years and put a garage in. Granted, mine isn't a new home build, but I'm concerned about government overreach, that this is kind of like a gated community covenant, if you will. Like, if you're going to build in Neenah, you have to do this. You have to paint your house a certain color. You have to have a mailbox a certain design. You have to have a garage. It just, I don't think we want to send that message to people that want to come in and build. I get it. I get where Alderman Lunderman is coming from, because, she's not wrong with the stereotyping, and these are smaller homes and smaller lots, and these people don't have places for outdoor storage and things like that. But these people can then build a utility shed or a garden shed for that. I think mandating that people have to come up with this extra money and build a garage, I don't think we should be doing that as a government body. I don't think we should be putting that on new homeowners. I just don't. So I would be voting no for this.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other comments or questions? Anyone else? All right, seeing no one, there is a motion to approve ordinance number 2020-20, which will require an attached or detached garage for all residential properties. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, using, as the clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Lang,
Aye.
Lundrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
For me?
Todd,
Yep.
Boyette,
Boyette?
No.
and Bates.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes 8-1. And just for a point of clarification, just people are watching, homeowners within the city who currently own their home and do not have a garage are not required to build a garage, correct, Alderman Lundrum? That's how I understood the discussion the other night.
Let's let Deputy Director Schmidt answer that one.
Well, if it's your ordinance, so go ahead.
Mayor, that's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure. I mean, I thought that was the case, but if someone's listening and then they find out, oh, I have to build a garage, so I wanted to make sure that they know they're kind of grandfathered, right? So, okay.
Can I just ask a quick question of clarification?
Go ahead.
Does this have anything to do with somebody that has an existing garage and needs to tear it down? Will they be forced to rebuild it?
Possibly, if they don't. This does give the Community Development Inspection Department a little bit more leverage on getting them to rehab or fix their garage so that a raise order would not be issued, because if a raise order is issued, then they have the cost of building a whole new garage. So it gives us a little bit more teeth to maybe crack down on those that, the roof is falling in and things like that. Yes, that discussion did come up at the meeting.
And is there any kind of funding to help these individuals? Because you have Habitat for Humanity, so do we have Garage RS or something?
We have a loan assistance board here in the city that has the ability to give very low interest loans to those types of individuals if they can't get traditional funding.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. I just wanted to make that clarification. Go ahead, Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. Committee recommends council approve the outdoor premise area expansion application for Barrel 41 Brewery Company, LLC, located at 1132 South Commercial Street, Neenah.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Alderman Bates, go ahead.
I just want to say that I appreciate that solid fence along the south end is incorporated into it. That was one of the concerns I had when this was first done, so I appreciate that.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, clerk will call the roll. All in favor, vote aye. Any opposed, vote no.
Alderperson Lundrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
and Lang.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes unanimously. Go ahead.
Committee recommends council approve entering into a contract with Orion Waste Solutions to provide containers and regular refuse collection for commercial dumpster customers, with collection commencing July 1, 2021, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Lundrum. Discussion. Alderman Boyette.
Do the costs for this come out of the bid and then the city's reimbursed? How does that work?
The costs for this program come through the refuse collection budget within the Public Works budget, and then the charges are billed through the utility bill, so the revenue comes back to the city through the utility bill.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one else, there's been a motion and a second to enter that the city enter into a contract with Orion Waste Solutions to provide containers, regular refuse collection for commercial dumpster customers, with collection commencing on July 1, 2021. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, as the clerk calls your name.
Alderperson Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
and Landrum.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes unanimously. Go ahead.
Committee recommends council approve the revocable occupancy permit to John and Jennifer DeBruin, 620 East Wisconsin Avenue, for irrigation system facilities located within the Lakeshore Avenue right-of-way, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Lang seconds it. Questions or comments? Alderman Bates and then Alderman Boyette.
If they have to do improvements, do they have to go through the contacting of the Historical Society to do any digging in that area?
Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Boyette.
Similar situation, are these for existing or future?
These are existing systems.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, all in favor of the revocable occupancy permit that all will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no, as the clerk calls your roll. Name.
Alderperson Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
and Borchert.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes unanimously. Go ahead.
Committee recommends council approve the revocable occupancy permit to Mary Ellen Robluski Trust, 114 Lakeshore Avenue, for irrigation system facilities located within the Lakeshore Avenue right-of-way, and I would so move.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Alderman Stevenson approving the occupancy permit for 114 Lakeshore Avenue for the irrigation system. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, as the clerk calls roll.
Alderperson Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
and Spellman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion also passes. One more. Go ahead.
Committee recommends council approve the revocable occupancy permit to Grant J. LaMontagne and Judith A. LaMontagne, 157 North Park Avenue for irrigation system facilities located within the Lakeshore Avenue right-of-way, and I would so move.
Alderman Bates moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Lundrum, was that, or Lang? Lang. I'm sorry, Lang. Alderman Lang seconds it. Similar to the previous ones. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, there'll be a roll call by Clerk Cheslak. If you're in favor, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no. Go ahead.
Alderperson Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
and Steele.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion also passes. Thank you. Go ahead.
Committee recommends council approve the revocable occupancy permit to Main Street LLC for an encroachment of their building at 215 Main Street into Millview Drive right away. I believe that's where he was talking about Solaris on Main, and I would so move.
Yeah, so instead of saying 2 Main Street LLC, it should be Solaris on Main
Yes,
LLC.
without objection. Otherwise, we would do it by amendment, Mayor.
You want to do an amendment? Okay.
No, if there's no objection to the change by any council member, we can.
Oh, is there any objection to that technical correction? No objection? That's so ordered. So it'll be for Alderman Bates' motion will be approve the revocable occupancy permit to Solaris on Main Street LLC for an encroachment of their building at 215 Main Street into the Millview Drive right away. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Lang. Questions or comments? Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So Jerry, we kind of talked about this. Do we know, or maybe Mr. Buns knows, how high off the ground this patio is, and how far off the sidewalk is it? Or from the sidewalk?
Yeah, I can answer that question for you. It's about 4 feet off the ground and 18 inches from the sidewalk, and there's landscaping below it. So you're not really going to veer off the sidewalk and run into the balcony. You'd run into the landscaping below it first, if that's a concern.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was like a corner that some kid taking around the edge would just kind of hit it.
Yeah. There's some tall bushes, prairie grass, and I can't remember. I submitted it with the package, but I can't remember the exact landscape. There's plenty of it down there.
Anyone else? Alderman Boyette, did you have your hand up, or you get your question answered?
I'm good. I'm good, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? They have a trailer out there, so I think they're getting ready to move some dirt. So anyone else? If not, there's a motion and a second. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no as your name is called by the clerk.
Alderperson Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
and Erickson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes. One more. Go ahead.
Committee recommends council approve the budget expenditure with 2016 carry forward budget funds for Industrial Drive entrance to include the street lighting upgrade on Industrial Drive from Bell Street to Castle Oak Drive in the amount of $98,800, installation of an overhead street name sign for Industrial Bell in the amount of $1,000, and a street name sign with city logo banner within the city and within the industrial park in the amount of $500, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Stevenson seconds it. Questions or comments? There was a memo sent out just Monday or something, I think, by Director Hayes and Kaiser with regards to this. Was there not? A little bit of an update. And with that, are there any questions? Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. With that information, I would like to amend to add the requested traffic cabinet relocation. They sent us a map and traffic detection upgrade for the Industrial Drive and Bell Street intersection at an additional estimated cost of $48,111.
There's a motion.
I'll second to amend.
There's a motion to amend by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. This is to add the relocation of the traffic signal box. Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Thank you. Based on the information that was provided at the committee meeting, the $48,111 to move the box serves two purposes. One, operationally, it improves our functionality of that intersection, according to Jerry. And so I'm supportive of the expenditure based on that. And second of all, it would be beneficial if and when Chris comes to us with a final signage plan, that junction box would be moved so that a new sign would be in the most appropriate place and not have to compete with the junction box. Is that correct, Chris?
Yep, good way to put it. Thanks, Alderman Stevenson. Anyone else? I concur, and I really do think that that upgrade is probably long overdue, and it could do nothing but enhance that area and the industrial park, business park, whatever we want to call it. But Alderman Stevens correct in his explanation. So,
could I just go on and Mike, if you would just confirm for us, these are even all these expenditures, the $98,800, the $1,000, the $500, and the $48,111 is all coming from capital improvement budget from 2018?
16.
16. All right. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, there's a amendment. You're voting on the amendment to add the additional cost of
Mayor,
that. This is just on the amendment.
Mayor, that can be done by voice vote.
Thank you. All in favor of Alderman Bates's motion signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Hearing no opposed, that's so ordered. We are now on the motion as amended, which becomes the motion. Is there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor will vote aye, all opposed will vote no, as the clerk calls the roll.
All right, Alderperson Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Lane.
Aye.
Landrum.
Aye.
Orchard.
Aye.
Spellman.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
And Stevenson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes. Thank you very much.
And that concludes my report.
All right, thanks for your report. Item number B is the regular Finance Personnel Committee meeting of November 23rd. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of November 23rd, 2020. First item on the agenda is the committee recommends council give direction for city staff to take the necessary steps to purchase the property at 401 West North Water Street, utilizing community development block grant funds for the purpose of expanding Cook Park at the negotiated purchase price of $65,000, along with agreed upon closing costs. And I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Boyette. Questions or comments? Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I was kind of taken by a loop and I didn't have a chance to look back at the electronic version of the agenda for finance, but I was kind of taken by surprise with the agreed upon closing costs. I don't remember any specific discussion in committee regarding agreed upon closing costs. So can someone enlighten me on what that was or what that is?
I can do that,
Director
Mayor.
Hayes. Go ahead, Director Hayes.
As part of negotiations, as you know, with a real estate acquisition, there's costs that typically the buyer pays and the seller pays. In this case, we've agreed essentially to split those costs. I think the total is roughly $2,000, so we'd be about $1,000 of that. So it wasn't significant, but it was part of the negotiation. So as an example, probably the biggest item there that typically the seller pays is the prorated share of taxes. We've agreed to basically split that.
Okay, so I think we should reference that so that future council knows if someone ever goes back and looks at this, for whatever reason, but they're going to see there that it's agreed upon closing costs. I think we should include those negotiated costs into our motion, so that's a matter of public record.
Director Hayes will submit those to the clerk. Is that okay, Ted?
That's fine. Yeah, as long as it's documented.
Okay.
We'll have a closing statement. The part of the issue is we don't know the exact dollar amount until the actual closing. But it's dollars, not hundreds of dollars by any stretch. But we can submit that closing statement with the detail as you requested, indicating what the city paid and what the sellers paid.
I mean, if it's easier, I can move to amend that the closing costs will be split 50-50. At least there's documentation of that.
Yeah, that would clarify the record.
And I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Motion by Stevenson, seconded by Boyette to to amend the motion to clarify the cost of the closing costs. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposed? If not, that's so ordered. Now that becomes part of the motion. We're back on the original motion as amended. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
and Boyette.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That motion passes. Go ahead.
Item number 2, the committee recommends council approve the development and fee agreement for the first addition to Southfield Plat. This is to be acted on after the report from the Board of Public Works. Item number 3, the committee recommends council adopt resolution 2020-17, approving the Neenah Central City Business Improvement District 2021 operating plan, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Borchert seconds it. Adopt resolution number 2020-17. Discussion. So folks at home, the bid district has a operating plan each and every year. The council takes a look at it and has to approve it because the council is actually the one that approved the creation of the bid district.
And we collect the money.
And we collect the money. Thank you. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As your name is called by the clerk, please.
Alderperson Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
and Bates.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes. Go ahead.
Item number 4, the committee recommends council approve the Maintenance Assessment Services Contract 2021-2025 with Associated Appraisal Consultants for an annual fee of $36,500, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Alderman Stevenson seconds it. Anyone have comments or questions regarding the appraisal consultant contract? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. Once again, as the roll is called by the clerk.
Alderperson Lundrum,
Aye.
Borchard,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
and Lang.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes. Go ahead.
Item number 5, the committee recommends council approve retaining Larry Nicholson to conduct appraisals for the 2019 and 2020 tax years on the Walmart and CVS properties for a total of $24,000, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Borchert. Discussion on this item? Anyone? I know that in the committee that there was some discussion with regards to this. Director Easker, did you have something first of all?
No, I did. Thank you, Mayor. I had, as I looked at this after it had been approved, I just want to point out to the council that as it's been submitted and motioned, the funding source for this cost, as things stand now, would come from the same funding source that the legal counsel had been approved by the Common Council to pay for, which is out of the city attorney's outside legal services. And I've been debating back and forth if this has, because of the nature and amount of this, that maybe there ought to be some action by the council to affirm the funding source for this expenditure. It's really right on the, it's right in a gray area there. As you know, we do have throughout the city's operating budget the ability for approved costs to exceed line item budgets, and within reason and within context. This cost, I think, just exceeds that threshold for me, and it's simply because it's such an odd item that really had not been entertained at the time that the council had approved the funding for the outside counsel. So I just wanted to point that out to the council. If no other action or no amendment to the motion to provide a specific funding source, then it would be funded through the city attorney's budget, and consequently likely would overspend his not only his outside services budget, but may exceed his total budget simply because proportionately speaking, it's quite large compared to his total budget.
Mike, I thought we were decided to take it out of the liability accounts, the liability accounts.
I mean, we haven't decided that. Again, that was not, that again, because the council had not agreed to that, I just thought it was appropriate at this time, and I apologize for not bringing it up last week, because it was one of those things that I guess the more I looked at, I thought it really should maybe at least be brought to you to have the council act if it so chooses.
All right. So so there was some discussion, and I kind of broached a couple things with Attorney Godleski with regards to the selection of this. Jim, do you want to mention what you found about, there was there was a good question about the cost of this particular appraisal. Did you learn anything?
The mass appraisal process that the assessors have to go through is a specialized skill that demands a higher fee on this. This gentleman, Larry Nicholson, according to Amy Seibel, has been hugely successful in providing appraisal evidence for the cities to defend big box assessment claims that we're facing here. Largely what happens in these cases with the kind of evidence that he's able to produce in terms of the quality assessments is that they end up settling as opposed to going to trial. And I went back just for council's information to look at the last time we had a serious assessment appeal, and that was with the Kohl's department stores property on Winneconne. In that case, which involved the 2009 and 2010 assessment years, we ended up, our outside counsel hired an appraiser that had worked for the city of Milwaukee, thinking it was going to be a good deal, and turned out to be a lousy witness, and did a fairly poor job on the appraisal itself, to the point where the circuit court rejected the appraisal as legitimate evidence to confirm the assessor's assessment. Fortunately, the Kohl's picked an even worse appraiser, and so the court ended up holding that the taxpayer did not carry their burden of proof, and that's as a result why we won the case. But the bottom line on that was we ended up going all the way up to the Court of Appeals on this, and what Amy's Attorney Seibel's perspective is on that is if you do the work on the appraiser at this point, it may cost more than what you expect it to, but it may end up reducing our cost by promoting more of a settlement because the evidence will be so compelling to be that a case. I can tell you in the Kohl's case, we ended up spending a total of over $40,000 on that defense, including the appraisal costs, which, as I recall, was $7,000 or $8,000 back in 2012 when we were doing the hearing at that point. So that's the information that I had, Mayor. But I can tell you that Larry Nicholson has been successful in providing appraisals for cases that Amy's been part of in Wauwatosa and Pewaukee. He's also, I think, done the appraisal on the Plover Lowe's store that was just recently successful in defending against an appraisal. The other thing I think the council needs to understand is that to the extent that we spend the money on the appraisal now and get a decent product, that will likely result in more likely confirming the assessment we have now, which will keep the tax revenues at the current levels instead of reducing it significantly.
All right, Alderman Stevenson, do you have a question? You had broached this subject, so
sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. The going back, Jim brought up the Kohl's appraisal. I don't remember who defended that for us.
Rich Carlson.
So Rich Carlson. So we subcontracted, very similar to what we did here with Amy Seibel. Did Rich Carlson hire the attorney at that point? Because that's what's happening here. We're going on the recommendation of Amy Seibel to retain Larry Nicholson, and the council didn't hear a squat about the fact that we didn't perform really well, and whether we got lucky. It's the first time hearing of that, but okay, so good for us. So that was a recommendation based on council, correct? I guess
that recommendation, actually, to be honest with you, the outside counsel hired the appraisal and just included as expenses on his billings to us. So there was never a separate approval. But when I got the retainage letter from Amy, I decided to take it to committee so the committee was aware of what the expenditures were involved with this.
So have we had any contact at all directly with Larry Nicholson?
No.
Or has it all been done through Attorney Seibel?
Done through Attorney Seibel.
So we're trusting her just like we trusted Rich Carlson.
Well, and Rich Carlson did a good job given the circumstances that he had. He won the case for us, so including at the Court of Appeals. So Rich did a fine job. It was the appraiser that turned out to be less than advertised.
So going back to Mike's question or Mike's comment about funding sources, and Jim's follow-up question saying, I thought we decided to do something. The council has to take action to fund those things. So if we're funding this out of some mechanism, has the council taken action to do that?
No, it should be addressed. But usually, what has happened, in fact, what happened back in the Coles appeals, it was a separate liability account, or the liability budget was established for that appeal, and the charges were assessed against that account, and that was funded that way. Mike, you could probably, it was an 040 account.
And we certainly back then, that your recollection of that is probably correct, but I don't recall us doing this a similar thing for the cost of Amy Seibel. I think the intent there is that her costs seem to be minimal, at least in the early stages, and that I believe the committee had asked you to continue to update them with regard to those costs, and that if we started to again reach a threshold that we felt, or at least that I would have recommended, that we're now outside the realm of what your outside services budget could, legitimately fund, then we would have to look at other funding sources. And this one kind of came out of the blue in terms of the dollar amount, and it was after the committee action that I realized that we really hadn't done anything to define a funding source. So I'm fine if we want to now, if this is the time to set up that liability account to begin to now quantify these costs similar to what we did 10 or 12 years ago, that's certainly one very good option. I just would like, I believe it was appropriate to have the council on record for that.
So the council has taken action to retain Attorney Seibel, and that funding source based on that action is the city attorney's outside services account, I'm assuming, correct?
I believe that's correct, yes.
That's right, yes.
So if we want to change that to a liability account, that has to come to the council. I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure where we stand with where we're funding Attorney Seibel and where the expectation would be as to how we would fund Appraiser Nicholson.
Okay.
So where are we going to fund that from?
I think the council gets to make that decision, and based upon some recommendations from Mike, Director Easker, maybe.
Right, and as a sort of backdrop here, the city's liability insurance fund is funded each year by the council through the budget. That money is set aside in the liability insurance fund, and then money is taken from that each year for what are considered the defense of city liabilities. I think it's legitimate to say this is defending a city liability and legitimately can come out of there. So the council action would simply be to take that money from the existing funds and future funds in the liability insurance fund that the city has had a long-term established relationship with.
There's a couple more questions here, and then we'll Alderman Lenrum and then Alderman Erickson.
Do I still have the floor? I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I just want, my last thought is, I just think this is a lot of money, and I shared that with the committee, and so I'm going to vote against it because we haven't had any negotiations or conversations with Mr. Nicholson. We're negotiating purely through a third party. I have no clue what that third party might have with this person. So for that reason, I'm going to vote no.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Lundrum, go ahead.
Director Easker, is it possible for the funding to come from like a liability account, but from community development instead of the legal department?
Well, once it's set up into the liability insurance fund, it's not really part of any department anymore. Right. It's part of the city's overall liability fund, so it's really not attached. Any department can have a stake in that. Let's say it's not simply through. So it's not necessary to do that. It's sort of understood that once it's over there.
It's overtaxing his budget, though, the legal budget.
But it wouldn't be part of his budget anymore. That's my point. Okay. Once we decide if we move it to the liability insurance fund, it's completely out of Jim's budget and then is funded through a different source altogether.
All right, thanks for the question,
Probably
Alderman.
the motion that's on the floor.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim. Say
It would
that
be
again.
appropriate at this point if the council wanted to change that funding source to move to amend the motion to direct the funding source be the liability account that Mike's referring to.
All right, there is a motion on the floor. I'm going to go to Alderman Erickson first.
That was my question, Attorney Godlewski. Do you recommend that I amend the recommendation that I made to choose the funding source of the liability fund?
Yes.
So I'd like to do that. I'd like to recommend or to amend the recommendation that I previously made. And I'm not sure who was the second on that, to see if that's a.
Well, this will be a separate amendment. So Alderman Erickson, you'd like to amend the motion to have the liability account, the correct name, Mike Easker can tell me, that this expense would come out of that fund. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Bates. So there's
One more,
Mike.
just to clarify again, this action, I guess, in my opinion, would also then funnel all future costs related to this specific issue to that same liability insurance fund, because most likely we will have additional legal costs and so on. This is now, broadening to the point where I think all of those costs in the future need to funnel to that account as well.
Thank you, Director Iskra. I was going to ask that exact question: is the council, they're able to do one of two things. They're probably able to ask for regular updates on expenses that would be attributed to that, or put a cap on it, and then after that they would have to come back to the council. That would be my suggestion. One of those two items also attached to this motion. Alderman Bates.
Director Easker, where do we stand with the funding for that city liability insurance fund?
Where are we right now? That account currently has approximately $100,000 of reserves in it.
Is that the one that at the end of the year we kind of filter it back into what we don't use and then we refund it? I mean, we fill it every year?
We fill it every year. And right now we're filling it to the tune of about $70,000 per year. Some years we spend that much, some years we spend less, some years we spend more. So right now, as we stand, we've got about $100,000 in reserve in that account.
Okay, thank you.
Attorney Godlewski, did you have something you'd like to add?
I would.
Well, you're not called yet, so give me 1 second.
We already committed to providing regular reports on the costs that come through on this. So I will continue to do that, and my successor will also do that as well.
All right, Alderman Boyette, go ahead.
Thank you. My arm's getting tired of waving here. Hey, listen, I have a question. Can somebody remind me how much we're looking at here with these with the two cases? What are we looking at trying to defend? What was the amount on the Walmart and the other? It's been a while and I don't actually recall even a dollar amount that we're trying to defend ourselves from.
Sure. Director Hayes or City Attorney Godlewski, do you have that answer?
I don't have it offhand. I can get it to you. I don't have that figure in front of me, Alderman Boyette. My recollection is we're talking 6 figures in terms of the potential refund.
On both of them?
Yes. Now understand that if the judgment was assessed as excessive and we had to pay out that money, we would be able to charge back to the other tax-paying entities that their proportionate share of that. So we would get some of that money back from the other tax-paying entities. But the reason why you want to put the investment in at this point in terms of the evidence that you're trying to gather and the appraisal is to hopefully avoid a trial and keep the value as high as close to or at the level that the assessor provided for in those years, so that you don't have any damages to pay or any refund to pay.
Right. No, I understand that. I guess, I know a lot has changed since this happened, and with COVID and all this other stuff going on, I'm I want to make sure we're not spending a whole bunch of money trying to defend this, and in return that, maybe we could be, I don't know, working out some kind of a deal to cut them a break, because it is hard times, because I don't want a bunch of empty buildings either.
The
No,
problem is,
that's not going to be an issue, but the COVID will not have any effect on this at all, because we're looking at the value as of prior to the pandemic.
Right. No, I do understand that. What I mean by the COVID is that businesses are being, yeah, they're like, now people are struggling more so than they were when all this occurred. And I'm just afraid of a downward trend. And now we're going to have a bunch of empty buildings because they can't keep their brick and mortar open. And we're spending all this money to, anyway. I see Chris Hayes had his hand waving. I don't know if he was trying to add in on that or not.
I saw it. I would just say that if we truly believe that we are correct in our assessment, I think it's important for us to defend ourselves, because if we roll over, or if we, decide to not defend it, you will have an onslaught of other businesses who will then challenge their assessment, and it could end up costing you a lot more. Director Hayes, go ahead.
So
thank you.
A settlement is exactly what they're hoping for. That's the whole strategy here, is let's contest this. We'll cut a deal. The city will cut a deal. Next year we'll come back and contest it again, and we'll cut another deal. Walmart and CVS aren't going to close.
Yeah,
I can guarantee that. The other thing to consider here is this is not just a defense of the last assessment, but of future assessments as well.
Right.
So the ramification is bigger than just 1 year.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
And that's what I was trying to get across. I'm sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The appraisal is covering 19 and 20.
Yeah. But like I stated, I think there's more to this than sending a message to all these companies that, if we're going to do our best to appraise you in a proper way, but if we just don't defend these things when we truly believe that we have the right number, it could balloon into something much bigger down the road. Alderman Bates, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So, City Attorney Godlewski, the previous Coles lawsuit, that was one assessor doing one building for 1 year, and now we're doing 2 buildings for 2 years. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Well, actually, the appeal in the Coles case ended up being over 2 years, 9 and 10. But it started off as 1 year, and then when the second year came around, we stipulated to include that objection as part of the case.
Okay.
Which is similar to what happened in this case.
All right. Anyone else? This isn't easy. Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
All right. So this is on the amendment, correct?
Yes.
Which identifies the liability fund as the source for funding all this.
Yes.
Mike, so question for you: in the spirit of transparency, would it? I'm thinking that a year from now we're not going to remember what we paid, because we'll look back at Jim's external contract fund and there'll be like $0 in there. But somebody will say, well, we spent all that money, but we paid for it out of liability fund. I'm okay funding it with liability fund dollars, but would it make more sense from a transparency perspective to transfer the dollars into Jim's budget from the liability fund and then list it there so that we can see it from year to year, so we know how much we've spent? When we spent all that money on the outside services for defending Little Lake Butamore, we kind of lost it because it was all in the sewer fund, not in the external
Sure.
sources fund.
Well, I guess my answer to that would be that the liability insurance fund is something that we can report to you, and maybe it's not a bad idea if we did that a little bit more regularly anyway, because the council probably also has a stake and a interest in the other liability issues that the city encounters on an annual basis. This is not the only one. So to be honest with you, it might not be a bad idea for us to be a little bit more provide you more information on what goes on in all of the liability insurance fund activity on an annual basis. And what I will do is take a look and see if we can include that, and maybe should include that in our quarterly report to the council. Then you'll have it, and you'll actually have a better handle on it, because the liability account is more of a perpetual account that you'll be able to kind of see it on an ongoing basis. That if it's in Jim Godleski's budget, you'll only see it on a calendar year, and then the next year you'll see the next calendar year, you won't see the previous one.
So as a follow-up, is there any benefit from a levy limit perspective or expenditure restraint limit to adjust the operating budget by taking money from the liability money and putting it into the operating budget?
That would more probably be a negative more than a positive. So.
So for the record, I'll support the amendment saying we're going to fund it from the liability, but I'm going to vote no for the expenditure to the appraiser.
Okay, so let's get through the amendment and that'll become part of the motion. Then if someone has last comments, they'll be able to do it under the motion, not just the amendment. There is an amendment to identify the funding source as the liability account. Correct?
Correct.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, one more thing, and that this will now be the funding source for the quote-unquote dark store defense ongoing.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.
Let's be definitive there. That's Attorney Seibel and the appraiser so far, right?
Sure.
Yep.
I mean, is there other things that we're gonna be? Because otherwise we lose sight of it. Attorney Seibel starts doing something else, and then the liability account just starts getting charged, and the council doesn't know.
I think the intent is to do the liability account for Attorney Seibel and for the appraisal, and the Walmart and CVS anything pertaining to the Walmart and CVS cases. Correct?
And I think bringing anything else that comes up as we did in this case, if there's any other costs that have not been identified as Attorney Seibel or this appraisal, if there's some other third party, Jim, the city attorney's office would need to bring that to the committee as well.
Right.
Yep.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Alderman Boyette, you want to, before the motion to amend, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable leaving that that open-ended. Like, we should have an amount on that, and then if we get close to exceeding that amount, then bring it back and we can adjust it accordingly. But I don't feel comfortable just having a blank check.
Well, the city attorney is reporting to the finance committee on a regular basis, almost more frequently than I thought, but I'm glad about it, as to what our expenses are and our exposures are so far with Attorney Seibel. So I'm comfortable with that.
And I will continue to do that until my retirement. I'm sure my successor will do that as well.
And at that point, Alderman Boyette,
it's up to us to make sure that they do.
Right, and at the committee level, at any point in time, the committee can say, okay, we've now spent an amount of money that we are now beginning to get uncomfortable with and would like to take further action to either approve or deny any further requests. So you always have that option at any time.
But then we would need to bring it back to council where we're kind of at now. So instead of going through all that, we should just do it from the beginning and then it's done.
Well, except the problem with that is you don't know what the defense costs are going to be, and do you want to stop funding the defense costs in the middle of a case that's before the court? I don't know that you want to be.
No,
in that
but like not to exceed, not to like cap it, but like not to exceed X amount of dollars. Because what did you say, Mr. Easker? What is in the fund?
At the moment, we have approximately $100,000 of unneeded or unnecessary reserves that are unobligated.
So we could utilize that as our not to exceed limit, and then, I mean, that would save us from going to committee and then going, oh, well, we probably should do this, and then coming back to council and being right where we're at because he's got a figure. I don't know. It's just.
I think your point's well taken. I think
just trying to be proactive and not waste any more time. That's all.
The committee's been the finance committee itself has kind of taken an interest in this and is going to continually monitor it, and Jim is going to continue to update them. And I understand your point, but I think that at least at the beginning here, I think this works. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I think if I could, I've been around long enough that whenever we set a limit as to what we can spend, guess what we always spend?
Yeah. Yeah. That happens. Okay, there is an amendment, and I'd just like to get past the amendment mode, and then so there's an amendment. All in favor of the amendment will vote aye. Signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any opposed, say no. Is there any no's? By voice vote, that amendment to the motion passes. Now we're on the amendment, or on the motion. Is there any further discussion or any other amendments? Seeing none, then all in favor of the council approving retaining Larry Nicholson to conduct appraisals for the 2019-2020 tax years on the Walmart and CVS properties for a total cost of $24,000, up to $24,000, and I don't know if it's up to or to, yeah, to $24,000, and that this come out of the account that was specified earlier. All in favor of that motion will vote aye. All opposed will vote no as the clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Borchert?
Aye.
Spellman?
Aye.
Steele?
Aye.
Erickson?
Aye.
Stevenson?
No.
Boyette?
No.
Bates?
Aye.
Lang?
Aye.
Landrum?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion carries 7 ayes, 2 noes. Thank you for your report, Chairman Erickson.
Thank you.
The regular Plan Commission meeting of November 24th, 2020. Alderman Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting from the meeting of November 24th, the minutes can be found on the city's website. Commission recommends council approve ordinance 2020-23 approving project plan approval number 2-20 for the Glatfelter Mill Plan Development District, allowing the construction of a public plaza and ice rink, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Lang. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Erickson seconds it. Questions, comments, or discussion? I will tell you, if you've seen the updated renderings and that, they're pretty impressive, and it's all coming together. And I'll also tell you this, the media is showing extreme interest in this project. Just today, I think Channel 2 was here, but I've told them that they're in government, and I've been doing this a long time, there's not a lot of things that are 90%ers. And in my mind, this is one of those things, whether I go to the grocery store, I think you've done your due diligence in asking all the tough questions about future costs and cost to operate and all those types of things. And with the setup that we have gotten from the John's group that's going to do this for up to 5 years, I think we can all feel a little bit better that we're going to get a pretty good product at the end. So I'm feeling extremely good about this, and thank you for your hard work and that on this project. So is there anything else? If not, all in favor of ordinance number 2020-23, approving the project plan, approval number 20-20 for the Glatfelter Mill Plan Development District, which allows for the construction of a public plaza and an ice rink, will vote aye. Any opposed will vote no, as Clerk Cheslock calls the roll.
Alderperson Spellman?
Aye.
Steele?
Aye.
Erickson?
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lane,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
and Borchert.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thanks for your report, Alderman Lang. We'll now move on to the Board of Public Works meeting on November 24th, 2020. Vice Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. The minutes can be found on the city website. We have 3 informational only items. The board approved pay estimate number 7 for contract 1-20 sewer and water main and street construction on Abbey Avenue, Clybourne Street, Bond Street, and Center Street to Kruchek Construction, Green Bay, in the amount of $294,607.81. The board approved pay estimate number 4 for contract 4-20 water main and street construction on Green Bay Road, Tuller Road, and Marathon Avenue to Vinton Construction Company, 2 Rivers, in the amount of $424,524.73. The board approved change order number 1 for contract 10-20 concrete pavement and sidewalk repair to Summers Construction Company Incorporated, Shiocton, for pavement repair increase due to storm sewer repairs completed by staff in the amount not to exceed $17,294.27. The 2 action items. The first one, the board recommends council approve final payment for contract 10-20 concrete pavement and sidewalk repair to Summers Construction Company Incorporated, Shiocton, in the amount of $104,565.02, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Bates. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Alderperson Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye. Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lane,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
and Spellman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The motion passes.
The board recommends council approve the development and fee agreement for the first addition to the Southfield plat, and I would so move.
Alderman Bates moves. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Borchert seconds it. Any questions, comments, or discussion on this item? All right, then we'll have a roll call. All in favor vote aye. All opposed vote no. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Alderperson Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lane,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
and Steele.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion also passes unanimously. Thank you very much for the report. We have to talk to GoToMeetings and see if they can come up with a voting, a red and a green button that you could push. So that would save a lot of time.
I know Zoom has it.
What does the county have? They do it by push button. What does the county do?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Stephanie?
I'm gonna ask Joe to look into it, I guess. So.
Stephanie Spellman is on the county. She could tell you.
Because Stephanie, are you able to vote?
Yeah, I don't know if it's Zoom, or I think we use Zoom. It has a yes or a no voting option. But we have been doing roll call as well because not everyone can figure out how to vote.
Oh, okay. I'm going to ask Joe to look into it. So thank you. We have a much younger group than the county board. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And we're all awake and upright.
including the mayor. So, all right. Well, thank you
You've
very
been
much.
in all day.
That's the Neenah Arts Council report. Is there anything, Alderperson Erickson?
I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you. Landmarks Commission, Alderperson Lang.
We have not had a meeting, but I do want to say there is a new short tour brochure of Sherrytown that will be available this Saturday at the Historical Society event from 10 until 1. And the wagon tours will be through the Sherrytown district, highlighting some of the interesting historic homes in that district.
Thank you. And the home the mayor lived in that district was torn down. So, and is now a duplex. But
Should have
good.
made
Thanks.
a landmark.
And for all of you, the Arts Council, Landmarks Commission, Future Neenah, the whole month of December, there's a lot of things going on downtown. So check out the magazine or the website, and a lot of kind of, even with COVID, they've found ways to do some things. So Sustainable Neenah, there's no report, I don't believe, at this point. Business Improvement District, Alderperson Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. You stole my thunder, kind of, but
Sorry.
I just, it's okay. Reporting from the bid board meeting of November 17th, the 2021 operating plan for the bid board was approved by them before coming here. Also, the Public Relations and Marketing Committee meeting reported on the various activities that are taking place throughout December, including live reindeer on December 12th. And the Luminary Night and Cookie Crawl on December 17th. So for all the information on those events taking place, visit the Future Neenah website. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Jane. I just set the table. You filled in the details, so thank you. Bergstrom Mahler Museum, Alderperson Spellman, anything?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The last meeting for the Bergstrom Mahler board was on November 25th. The museum is currently temporarily closed due to another possible COVID exposure. They plan on opening again on December 14th, but everyone is encouraged to buy from their online store. They have a lot of great glass gifts and Christmas ornaments. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the report. Item number 11, there's no petition, Stephanie, right? Not that I'm aware of.
No petitions.
Item number 12, council directives. If there's is there anyone who would like to speak on a council directive? Alderman Lednam, go ahead.
Yes, just for the next council meeting, I'll be deleting this last one and making a new one about just the gravel driveways. So take off the garages and just keep the gravel driveways council directives on there. And I'll do that at the next council meeting.
And you'll have that ready for the next meeting, okay? Good, thank you.
1 sec. I want to just make sure we do it right. I think we have to vote on putting it on the agenda for next time, and then we actually vote on it next time.
Okay.
Or she could do the same thing next time. But Jim, is that correct? I think Stephanie makes a good point.
I think Stephanie has the correct procedure, yes.
Okay, I'll move to put it on the agenda for a change.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to address a council agenda, a council directive at the next meeting. There's discussion. Seeing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Say no. That's so ordered. Thank you, Alderman Lenham. Item number 13 is unfinished business. Council action on the first amendment to TID 11 development agreement.
Yes, Mayor. As I prepared the agreement to memorialize what was approved by council through the committee recommendation, I realized that there was some changes that needed to be made in terms of the deadline on the Cobblestone Creek development and other minor issues. So I'm requesting a ratification of the agreement as presented before the committee here. The biggest change is that the projected completion date for the Cobblestone Creek development will be, instead of January of 2021, be January of 2022, or December of 2021, actually. So it'll be a year later.
So these are technical amendment adjustments
yes,
to the
because the
agreement.
motion was specific on the date on that. I didn't feel I had the authority to change that without having council approval. So I just am putting the full agreement before the council and asking for ratification of that agreement.
Is there a motion to approve the First Amendment to Title 11 Development Agreement? Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Alderman Lundrum. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Erickson. Now we can discuss it. Go ahead. Anyone have any questions or comments on it? Alderman Stevenson, go ahead.
Yeah, well, Jim, I think there's also the increase in incentive payment, correct? Have we dealt with that already?
Jim, you're on mute, Jim.
That was approved as part of the committee action previously, and it's incorporated into this agreement. But it does have a $200,000 increase in incentive payment. Yes,
which is not insignificant. I fully support it, but I think it's a higher, it's a bigger issue than the extension date of the completion date.
But that was
that's true. But that was already approved by the committee and council.
Was it by council or was it by the committee recommendation?
A committee recommendation that was acted on by council. What happened here is, as I developed the agreement, I realized there were some substantive matters, although minor, that I didn't think I had the authority to change on my own.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So in your memo dated November 25th, the incentive payment in item number 1 has already been dealt with.
It's already been dealt with.
Completion date has not been dealt with. That's being dealt with here. The name and number 3 is relevant here.
Yes.
And the value at 3.75 has that been recognized previously by the council, or is that on the floor?
That was recognized as part of the prior action by the council. And basically, the simplest thing is for the motion to ratify the agreement as drafted here, because I follow what was already approved by the council, and then made the changes to the deadline on the Cobblestone Creek and to change the name there appropriately.
Very good. Thank you.
Good. Thanks for the explanation, Jim.
Sure.
Anyone else? So it's ratifying some things the council also previously took action on. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
All right, Alderperson Stevenson.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye. Sorry.
Lang.
Aye.
Lundrum.
Aye.
Borchert.
Aye.
Spellman.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
And Erickson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is under new business, item number 16, new business. Determine and approve the process by which the upcoming aldermanic vacancy in District 2 will be filled. Clerk Cheslock?
Yes, so as part of Brian's appointment, we could have done it then, but we didn't kind of nail it or finalize everything. And in looking at the state statutes, the council does have to officially order a special election to take place in order to get that seat on the ballot for spring, because it isn't normally up for election at that time. So as I stated in my memo, the proposed motion would be to hold a special election concurrent with the regular spring election to fill the unexpired District 2 aldermanic seat formerly held by Alderman Coons to expire April 2022.
All right, thank you. Brian, who? Go ahead. Alderman Lundrum, go ahead.
Thank you. City Attorney Godlewski, is this something, do we have to do the special election, or can we as a council appoint somebody instead of having to go through an election.
But when the council decided to seek applications for the position, they specifically made the motion at that point that the appointment would be for the 1-year term until we could hold the election this spring. So because it was too late to do it last year, so the idea was that there would be a 1-year term and then the special election would be held. It would be just on the same ballot. It's not going to be any more costly, but it would be called a special election because it's a partial filling of a term.
The council made the decision to appoint someone until the next regularly scheduled election.
Right.
So even though it's a special election, it's being held on the same day as a regularly scheduled election.
Exactly.
But then it would be opened up to other candidates and it would be a campaign then, right?
Right.
Yes.
Well, which is how each of us got elected to begin with.
Yeah.
Not all of us, but
Well, 8 of the 9, correct.
So it'll be open up to everyone. Yeah, Carrie. Yeah, that's correct. So the good news is there's no extra costs or anything because we already have a scheduled election. Alderman Boyette?
But also, as a city council, can we not change that now and appoint someone to that position for the remainder of the term? And then when that seat was originally due to be done in 2022, it would.
Go ahead,
That's very contrary to what was decided when when the council saw the applications for that position. It was specifically stated at that point that it would be a.
Yep, and I understand that. I'm just wondering why we couldn't do that now. We had a change of mind. Why can't we? Is there a law that says we can't do that?
I don't think there's nothing that would prevent you, but I think with the number of candidates in that, I mean, we told them one thing and then we went back and did something else. I don't think that would be taken very positively, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I could understand the council's concerns because they didn't realize how amazing I would be. But no, I think that in the reality is, I think if I was one of those persons that didn't get elected by you guys, I would be frustrated because I wouldn't have my shot. So that's kind of where I would think.
Yeah. Well, and I would also add that the reason, I think the strongest reason we set the rules up that way was because we felt our constituents had the right to determine who represents them, not us make the right who represents them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good point.
And that has always been, as long as I've been on the council, which is a long time now, we've always targeted the closest time it made logical sense, financial sense, to have an election so that the constituency determines who represents them, not the common council.
Alderman Boyette?
So then when will this ever get corrected and get back on regular terms? Because this will be another 2 years?
No, 1 year.
1 year.
And
On
the ballot, there will be 2 aldermanic District 2 seats. One will say 3 years and one will say 1.
And it could be either candidate.
No.
No, they have to, when they take out candidacy papers with me, they have to specify which seat they are running for.
They have to declare which seat they're running for.
Okay.
Either the
Okay.
3-year term or the 1-year term.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Erickson, go ahead.
It was my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that whoever was running in the April election, the top vote getter would get the 3-year term. The person that got the second amount of votes would get the 1-year term. I thought that's how we decided that we would handle that.
I don't remember it that way.
I will tell you that that's the way it happened once in a very similar situation like this, where we had a council member resign, and we did it that exact way, but that was because the incumbent also chose not to run again. So we had 2 positions, which we felt at the time made logical sense to do it that way. I don't know that, and back in in when we invited applications to be submitted, we didn't have that situation. So
I'm gonna call in Clerk Cheslak.
If we were to do something like that, we would definitely have to speak with the election commission, because in my conversations with them, they were, so far they had been clear that it is 2 separate seats, so it would appear separately on the ballot. But just so you all know, we have a short window in which we can order this election. So, and candidates can't take out papers until it is ordered. So we could discuss this more, but tonight we do have to decide something on this, or the folks who want to run for that 1-year term, however that is going to look, can take out papers and get signatures.
Otherwise, Stephanie, we would end up being late and possibly not being able to hold the election coterminous with the spring election. Is that correct?
Well, if we want to order it to run concurrently with the spring election, the last meeting we'd have would be on the 16th to make that order, and then they'd only have 2 weeks to take out papers. So it's cutting it a little close. If we waited until the January meeting, that is outside the window in which we can make that order.
Right. Alderman Lundgren, you have a question?
No, I don't really have a question. It's just a statement. It's going to be very confusing, I think, to the voters, because I've never seen a ballot that had that before on the same seat. But you know.
Oh yeah, yes, you have. I'm sure that I'm almost positive there was. I think you've seen that before, but
No.
I think you have. I don't know, but.
And then also, as Alderman Stevenson was saying, for representation. But our constituents do elect us to represent them, and I also think this is part of it. We represent them with the budget and everything else that we do. So this would, to me, just would be another one if we appointed, but I probably am in the minority.
No, because I'm with you on this.
Anyone else? I mean, I'm one who believes elections by the electorate are always better than appointments. So, Todd, go ahead.
I make a motion to I'll move to hold a special election concurrent with the regular spring election to fill the unexpired District 2 aldermanic seat formerly held by Alderperson Coons to expire April 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Bates seconds it. There's a motion to hold the special election for that seat for a 1-year term. And then that is when that term was originally intended to expire, and it gets it back on track, as Alderman Boyette stated. So,
that's good.
Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Go ahead, Alderman Erickson.
I just have a comment. Since I ran for election in last April and I ran against somebody, I think it will be difficult for somebody running for office to want to go to all the trouble for a 1-year term. I mean, anybody who is running for office, if you're going to go and have signs and go door to door and do all of the things that are required, you'd obviously want to have the longer term. So I'm wondering if it's going to be harder to get candidates to want to do all of that for the 1-year position.
Especially the COVID.
I know we'll have at least one candidate for both options.
Okay. All right.
Alderman Lundgren, did your hand up? No? Okay. Yeah, these are always difficult because there's so many variables to when people retire and things like that. So I think from the taxpayer standpoint, what they don't want to see is they don't want to see a special election if at all possible. So, but yeah, you're all brought up some scenarios that I think are legitimate. There's a motion and a second. Alderman Boyette, go ahead.
I just want to make a statement that, what Alderman Erickson had, said with some of the scenarios. So we have COVID, and I know the past elections with the August election and then the November one, a lot of those candidates weren't allowed to go door to door to get signatures and to get votes and everything else. So it's going to be really interesting who's going to be able to go door to door and socially get these signatures, because you can't do that over the computer. You have to meet face to face. And again, a lot of people aren't wanting to do that right now. So I think it's going to be even a bigger burden. And, like Alderman Lendrum had suggested, we are trying to do things for the city as well. And I think keeping them safe is also an option. And so that's why I kind of want to appoint somebody for that final year and then let everybody just go about the regular 3-year term from there on out. But that's just me, and I'm going to be voting no on this. So thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing nobody, all in favor of the motion will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Boyette,
No.
Alderperson,
No.
Alderperson Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Lendrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Spellman,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
and Stevenson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes. So that's all we have to do with regards to that, right, Stephanie?
Yes, I'll just need Todd. You'll have to pop in. Adam has drafted the order, so we just need your signature on that tomorrow.
I have a meeting at 3 o'clock, I guess, at City Hall, so I'll stop in then.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you all very, very much. Next item is any announcements or questions that may legally come before the council. I have a couple. Does anyone else from the council have any announcements or questions? I do want to do just a couple things, and number one is the Neenah, and Carrie kind of beat me to the punch on Facebook once again, but she did a good job with it. Neenah notes came out just yesterday or the day before. It's just real important that we tell our constituents this issue has the 2021 recycling guide in it, and also the Winnebago County Hazardous Material Facility information, but this recycling and refuse guide is very useful for people. It ends up on a lot of refrigerators and things like that. So people, I believe most people read this anyways. A lot of people read it cover to cover. And so make sure you try to get the message out that people pay attention for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of good information in here, but the recycling guide for 2021 is in there. Secondly, I do want to just very quickly just talk about, because sometime next week, the tax bills will be coming out. The city of Neenah sends out the tax bills. The school district is an entity, the Fox Valley Technical College, the county are all entities, along with the city of Neenah, that share the taxes collections. We are the ones who have to, send out the bills. As you all know, this past year, and I'm not pro or against either one. But I do want to tell the citizens that there is all residents, almost all residents, unless they had assessment changes, are going to see an increase in their taxes this year in the city of Neenah. And much of that can be attributed to the fact that there was a vote by the citizens in the city of Neenah and the school district as a whole to approve the referendum that was approved, and that passed. And so this is the first year that the taxes for that referendum are being put on the tax bill. So because of that, referendum passing, and all I'm trying to do here is state facts and not, make judgments or anything. And I have talked to Mary Pfeiffer. We are going to put a little blurb in the tax bill that goes out that Mary has approved, just informing people. In addition, the state of Wisconsin, by statute, because it was a referendum, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, because it was a referendum, the state says right on the tax bill somewhere has to say that a referendum passed and here's the financial impact of that referendum. And so that will be right directly on the tax bill, correct, Mike?
That is correct, Mayor. It will be right on the bottom of the tax bill in a block form.
And that state statute says that anytime you pass a referendum, so we're not trying to poke anybody. We're trying to provide information, because some people are going to forget about it, some people are going to not know about it, and some people are going to say, hey, why did my taxes go up this much? So we are trying to provide information on why people are going to see a bump in their taxes this year is really what it is. And I have ran this by Mary, and we're trying to be helpful to the school district. We're trying to be helpful to the girls that collects taxes at the windows, so that getting people understand why they may see a rise in their tax bill this year, I think is important, and it even as you as aldermen. And so what we're going to see on average in the city of Neenah, an average home is $180,000 a year. $180,000 in value. That's the average. And so what that means to the city person who owns that home of $180,000, it means that about, let me see here. Mike, do you have the numbers handy?
I do. I should point out to the alderman, I did send that information to you.
You did send it out?
About 2 hours ago, yes. So we'll refer to it right now, but the information both on the mill rate for all taxing jurisdictions, the total mill rate that will be on the tax bills is one attachment, and the other attachment is a historical perspective on what the average assessed residential property will pay. And there's a historical sheet from 2012 up to this current tax bill that's being sent out next week, so you will see that. But the average taxpayer with $180,000 assessment will see an increase in their taxes of approximately $235 on the tax bill, and the significant portion of that is due to the school referendum that was approved.
Yeah, so we're not trying to, shock anyone. We're not trying to, we just want to get the information out that is the reason, and the voters voted. And so that familiarize yourself with those numbers, the actual numbers. And I misplaced my sheet, but it's about Mike, our number is about $36 increase.
Right.
The school district is about 207, if I'm right.
That, right.
And then this county went down actually about $6, and the Fox Valley Tech went down about $1.87, I believe.
And so everyone is aware, it's not that their total levy to run their budgets were less. It was that the city is a smaller piece of the county pie and a smaller piece of the technical college pie than it was last year. That's why the city's proportionate share. City's also a smaller portion of the school pie than it was if we had not been a smaller portion. The taxes generated from the referendum would even be higher. But
right.
there's a little bit of an edge taken off that.
So you will see this explanation on the tax bill. The only thing Mary wanted one change, and that was to say this is a 20-year, it will be going on for approximately 20 years. Mary wanted it, asked us to insert the word approximately 20 years, because how they do it is when the school district borrows the money, and they're not going to borrow it all at once, they're going to borrow it in stages. So when the last time they borrow that money is when the clock starts ticking. So she asked that we put approximately 20 years instead of 20 years so that, you know, we're being upfront. So I just want people to be made aware of that, and those that are going to watch this on TV, maybe that'll answer a little bit of their questions. But remember, those numbers are based on a house with a value of $180,000. So if your house is less than $180,000, you will not see that increase. If your house is more than $180,000, you will not see that increase. You'll see more than that. So I just wanted to point that out. The other document, Mike, did you send this out yet? I don't think so. The sheet for the
Yeah, that's the one I sent.
That's
both
the
of
one
those
that you
out.
did.
I
So
did.
to the alderman, I asked Mike to do this each and every year. This document is really helpful for me as mayor, you as alderman, and when people are asking you about taxes in this city, and what taxes did. So in essence, taxes from 2020 and looking back to 2012, taxes in the city of Neenah, the total increase in people's taxes over that time period, if their house stayed the same and their valuation stayed the same, was $36.45. Taxes are up $36 over 2012. For the school district, taxes are up $207.82. The Fox Valley Techs are actually down $6, and state of Wisconsin, or Fox Valley Tech is down $1.93, and Winnebago County is $6.15. So my point here is that we have averaged about 1.36% increase in our taxes over the last since 2012. That comes out to about 0.48% per year, about 0.5% a year. And it's just a nice document to have to explain people. So when you get this from Mike, you got it. Pay attention to it, look at it, because I think it really helps explain when people ask you a question about property taxes within the city. Alderman Boyette?
Yeah, can you clarify what you just said? Did you just say if your home is valued under 180, you're going to pay more than that?
You're going to pay less than the 230.
That's what I thought, but I could have swore you said more. I just wanted to clarify that because my eyebrows went a little twitchy.
If your home is we're always using the average house, which is 180.
Yep,
So
yep,
if your house is
yep,
less
nope.
than that, it's going to be less. If your house is more than that, it's going to be more. So I just wanted to bring those two up because I know people watch this and they pay attention to it, and maybe that little bit of information will help them better understand when they get their tax bill.
Yep, thanks.
Anyone else have any questions or comments on that? And Mike expects those to go out sometime next week.
Correct.
Anyone else? All right, well, I hope we will meet on the 16th, I believe, is our next scheduled meeting. I do have one other item, and I'd just like to, I am really excited and really pleased and thankful, quite frankly, that the Neenah Menasha Fire Local 275, they did make the decision to continue the Santa float this year, even with COVID. They put some conditions on because they want to make sure people aren't gathering and things like that. So as we speak, I think they're in Menasha tonight, I believe, if I recall. But I want to thank the firefighters. You know, there was a little bit of concern that, you know, if too many firefighters were off work for COVID, or if they were, you know, having staffing issues, they wouldn't be able to volunteer for this. And I will tell you that they're doing, we're all, that the whole fire department is doing very well managing the COVID issues. And so they made the decision to do this. This is all volunteer time by the Neenah Menasha firefighters. So I just want to say thank you very much to them, because they're going to make a lot of people happy. They're going to make a lot of kids happy who are going to go running out of their house with no shoes on and get a chance to wave to Santa Claus and say hi. And so I think it's, especially in this year, the difficult year we've had, what better way to get people, you know, give them something to cheer for, and go being able to see Santa, and the fact that the firemen are willing to do this, and other people have stepped up and donated a lot of things and everything to the float, and we really have a lot to be thankful for that, and for having that gift from the firefighters. So thank you to them. Alderman Stevenson?
Yeah, just to dovetail on that, the production of the Santa float isn't without costs. So if those who are watching are able, go to the Neenah National Fire Rescue site. There's a link there that you can donate to help continue to help fund this great tradition. I also want to have a shout out to Levenhagen Oil again, Bruce and Tori Levenhagen, for their contribution. And it's never a big splash, and nobody makes a big deal about it. But when the trucks and all the trucks, the float and the lead vehicles, when they run low on gas, they go to Levenhagen Oil. They get filled up for the season, and there's not a lot of hullabaloo about that because Bruce doesn't want it that way. But I get choked up when I talk about it because they do great things for the community. So kudos to them for what they do, and kudos to the community for stepping up and funding this great tradition.
Okay, thank you very much. Alderman Lundrum, go ahead.
I just want to say their GPS link, it is so nice because you no longer have to stand outside and freeze and guess where they are. You can see them in real time on your phone coming down your street. It's heaven.
Yeah, a lot of people have commented on that. So thank you for bringing that up. So people can go on the website and look and see where Santa is and know when he's getting close to their house, right? So thank you. Alderman Boyette?
And they should go check that out because the route has changed this year. It's not going to go down, like for instance, my regular area, and it's got a new route, so it goes actually across the street down Nicolay in the Menasha side where it never has. So check the map because it has changed a bunch of locations on the route, on their route. So you might be surprised that it may have changed.
Well, they did change some routes for the naughty girls, so you might have had something to do with that. So maybe they changed because of that.
No, I have weak energy all over my front yard. There's no way for them to get the truck through.
They're going down Tammy Street. I don't know, Tammy. You must have been a good girl this year. Good for you. All right. I think they're going down Alpine. They better.
We'll go down Alpine December 11th.
All right. Well, thanks again to them because it is pretty cool and it's a great tradition here in Neenah. So anyone else have anything for the good of the order? I know it went a little bit long because of the TDS thing, and I will tell you we are going to be having more discussions, but what frustrates me a little bit as a former legislator, and that is the fact that there isn't a lot we can do about it. And you know, you can argue for competition and all that competition's good and everything, but we will find out that there's not a lot we can do. So
it's nice to see your lobby dollars at work.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Anyone else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? There's a motion by Boyette for adjournment, seconded by Alderman Erickson. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all very, very much.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.